Joining us now is Rabbi Aryeh Lightstone, former Chief of Staff for Ambassador David Friedman. Shalom.
Hi, Yoni. Nice to speak with you.
So U.S. elections are coming, and now is the time for Americans living abroad, Americans living in Israel, to register if they want to vote. So a few words, please, about the significance of the votes coming from Israel.
Well, first of all, to understand what it means to be an American and what an incredible blessing that is. It really is a blessing, but with great blessings also come great responsibilities. And one of the responsibilities that an American has is to vote. If you have a voice, you must make your voice heard. And because you live abroad, because you are receiving this message while you are living in Israel, it's not as easy to vote as an American. And that means that you have to work harder in order to achieve it. We're in the month of Elul before Rosh Hashanah, and we know that great things only happen if you work. And I'm asking you now as an American, make sure that you work in order to be able to vote. And the first step of that is register.
How do you answer those who say that because of the U.S. election system, there's not much influence of each and every vote? You know, if a state is blue, it'll be blue. If it's red, it's red.
Yeah, first of all, don't listen to people who tell you that your vote doesn't matter. Do you know how many young men have gone off to die in order to protect your right to vote? On a very, very basic level of it, the value of an American is to exercise that vote. And anybody who tells you that it doesn't matter, dismiss that, because that means that the promise and the value of the United States of America doesn't matter either. So that's number one. Number two, let's just be honest how Washington, D.C. works. It works based upon self-preservation. And self-preservation comes from where are the voters? And every elected official in Washington, D.C. knows that there are nearly 500,000 Americans that are eligible to vote in Israel, and they know that less than 10% of them show up to vote. So when they are making critical decisions at a critical time that affects your life and your neighbor's life and your kid's life and your parents' life, they look and say, if you don't care enough to show up, why would I care enough to make a decision based upon my voters?
And in this case, we're not talking about any location of residence. We're talking about Americans living here in Israel. And there's a special connection with that dual citizenship.
Sure. I would have to imagine that Americans living in Israel are the most politically informed people on the entire planet. They follow the Israeli political system. They follow the American political system. And that's correct. I wish I lived in a world where the president of the United States of America, whether he or she winds up winning, would not have a dramatic effect on somebody who lives in Efrat or in Tel Aviv. But the truth of the matter is, it's probably the single most important decision that anybody is going to make this year, because the presidency of the United States of America makes such an incredible difference to the lives of people around the world, with a hyper-focused difference on the lives of people who live in Israel. And most Israelis can't do anything about it. But American Israelis can stand up and have their vote counted. And what a shame. I know so many of those voters are out there. I promise you, when they see me on the street, they're going to complain or they're going to compliment. And I will have only one question for them. Did you do your job? Did you register? Did you vote? Because if not, I don't really care about your complaints. I don't really care about your compliments. You had a chance not to be a spectator. You had a chance to be a participant, and you did or did not take that opportunity.
So we could guess who you support according to your previous role, but we decided not to talk about that specifically in this interview. So just please share your thoughts with us regarding the U.S.-Israel relations these days in wake of war.
Yeah, I won't speak about personalities, but I'll absolutely and totally speak about policy. Iran is the greatest purveyor of evil on this planet today. Iran has gotten closer with China and Russia. Iran does not just affect Israel. Iran affects the entire world and certainly affects the United States of America. One administration stood strongly and proudly and with great strength against Iran, and the other has not, does not, and will not. And when it comes to standing with Israel, you can decide that you want to, let's call it, use Talmudic logic in terms of where and when and how to stand with Israel, or you can just say, I stand with Israel. As an American, there should be no hesitation whatsoever in terms of who is right and who is wrong in this situation in the Middle East. Unequivocally, the United States of America should stand with Israel always. And one administration was successful in doing that, and the other one was unfortunately not successful in doing that. And by the way, that's an indictment on two things: on American values, but it's also people who are checking who is voting. It's not a secret that there is a block of voters who are interested in making sure that the United States of America does not stand with Israel. At the end of the day, we've seen in crystal clarity the difference in between politicians and where they're looking for their base vote to come from. There is, without a doubt, an element in the United States of America that is getting louder and angrier. So the protesters on the college campus, these are not protesters in favor of these Palestinians. They are protesters in favor of Hamas. And they've made noise, and they've made a stand, and they've organized themselves as a voting element. Now, whether they swing any states or they do not swing any states, they carry noise and energy. And if that noise and energy is not matched by people who explain that you must stand with Israel because I stand with Israel, I'm not asking you to vote as an Israeli. I'm asking you to vote as an American because that's your right. If you lose out on the energy that, quote, the other side brings, it's an incredible loss, certainly for the United States of America, but purely selfishly, it's a loss for you. It doesn't matter if you live in New York or New Jersey or California and you decide, hey, my state is going to vote however my state is going to vote. That is a selfish and frankly lazy approach. I want to stand up and be counted because this is the time to stand up and be counted. We're about to approach Rosh Hashanah, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says we will pass under his rod and count us one by one. Lahavdil elef alfei avdalot. In a different sense, the next leader of the United States of America will count those people who chose to stand up and will dismiss those people who did not.
Rabbi Aryeh Lightstone, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to leave a message for your listeners and viewers. The resilience of a person is not tested when things go well. The resilience of a person is tested when somebody gets punched. And without a doubt, this past year, Israel and the Jewish people have received an enormous punch. The resilience and the sophistication and the long-lasting effort of this great project called the State of Israel is dependent on how the people of Israel stand up. I would encourage you to be unified. I would encourage you to be strong. And I would encourage you, as this parsha says, chazak v'amatz, when you stand up with strength and dignity, good will always triumph over evil if you're committed to that fight. I wish all of you a year of success, a year of healthiness, a year of happiness, and a year of strength, because through strength will ultimately yield the ultimate blessing of Hashem, oseh shalom bimromav, the ultimate peace driven by strength.
Okay, Shana Tova.
Thank you, Yoni.